Hamster just got done watching Chronic, Undead Chronic roast a thotty. Daisy Cousens, ooh, to a crispy golden brown. It's fantastic. I'll put the link below, and I believe Mr. Elite 00 is going to be doing one tonight or whatever. I'll try to find a link and get that to you. So I'm not going to roast. I think it's been roasted to death. You can read some of my comments on her video if you want. Linked below as well. But I think she has a little bit of a point. Feminists in the 60s, through the 60s and 70s, whatever. What was their mantra? What was their call? What was unfair in their mind? And a lot of things were unfair. Of course, they bring up a lot of bullshit, right? Oh, women couldn't go to college, which is absolute nonsense. They've been going to college for as long as there been colleges. Now, they may have been sort of funneled into the normal school, which would be for teachers or whatever, or nursing. Maybe they had a limited selection of what they could do, but they could certainly go get educated. They could certainly go work, especially at the start of the Industrial Revolution and during the World Wars and various things. Women were needed to make the tanks and the guns and fly the airplanes over to Iceland. They had this whole fleet of female pilots that would fly the bombers to Iceland, and then the men would take over and go bomb the Germans and whatever. So they played their part in the war, but it was not enough, right? The reason they were complaining, you can look at Betty Friedan, read her Feminine Mystique if you want to. It's actually a pretty interesting book. It's a little dry, but kind of gives you the mindset of that time period. What they were really complaining about was they felt that they didn't have a choice. In other words, the societal expectations for females, up until the 60s or 70s. You'd get married young, you'd have babies, you'd be a housewife, cook and clean. The husband would go out, bring the money home, and you'd have a nice little nuclear family. Well, a lot of these feminists, they weren't satisfied with these things. They wanted to have more options. They wanted to have a career. They wanted to go to college and be a doctor or do whatever they wanted to do, right? That was sort of the rumblings of the 60s. The societal expectations of what females should do were pretty much destroyed, right? You don't have to get married. You can have a child out of wedlock. No-fault divorce. You can have as many sex partners as you want. Here's the birth control pill. And in the early 70s, here's abortion. You can do whatever you want. Was one of the genders missing from this society, removing all these expectations on females? Did men get the same consideration to do whatever they wanted to? Or were they still expected to go work as a wage slave until they keeled over and died at 62 from a heart attack from eating too much margarine and carbohydrates? Well, no. Men had the same expectations as always and forever. They're the protectors. They're the providers. They are to, women and children first. They're to go out and work and get a career and make money and all of these wonderful things. It's never changed over time. I mean, look, for example, men who walk out on their children, just scot-free without the government chasing their ass and making them pay child support. See, society looks down upon that, don't they? As they did in the 60s, as they did in the 40s, as they did since the beginning of freaking time. So what do we have here today? And let's not forget my body, my choice, right? It's always my body, my choice. I can do what I want with my body. You have nothing to say about it. And yet, when men decide to go MGTOW or RedPill, or don't want to get involved with the marriage contract, which is almost guaranteed to be a loser, right? They are shamed ruthlessly by women like Daisy Cousens and some of these other ones. And Daisy is sort of a trad-con, I guess, or a somewhat conservative kind of woman. She's shaming these men. What do you mean? Just because you can't get a date, you need to make yourself better for women. Women can have a line of requirements for their man, but if men even have one requirement, please, I want to find a woman who hasn't slept with 100 dudes. Well, why are you trying to oppress women with your patriarchal Christian values? You should take what you get, and you should be happy for it, and you shouldn't bitch, or else you're a fucking loser. They're trying to shame us. But yet, really, guys, what are MGTOW men and RedPill men and other guys that just, I don't want to do this dating, marrying crap anymore. I'm tired of it, and I don't like the game. I don't like the way it's rigged. We just want control of our own bodies. my body, my choice. If I choose not to get married, why should we be shamed for that? Isn't that what the sexual revolution took care of for the women, but not the men? Isn't that what feminism did for the women? They can do whatever they want. No stigma. Men, however, you must do as you've always done and shut the fuck up about it. And we're just saying, no, I don't want this anymore. Women were released from all of these societal expectations. Men now expect to be released from these same societal expectations. And what happens? Shame. Becoming ostracized. Being called a creep. Being called not a real man for not wanting to sign a governmental contract almost guaranteed to fail. What if we were saying the same things to the feminists back in the 60s? Well, you have it so good. You got the house, you just got to do a little housework, you get all the money coming in. You have a car, you watch TV all day. What are you complaining about? This looks fantastic. Women are saying the same thing to men. You have all of this privilege. Why are you complaining? You see, the entire movement of feminism is based on the fact that they believe all men have privilege. And so they're wondering, why would we want out since men have it so good? So Daisy, in one little way, feminism is very similar to MGTOW, except MGTOW is trying to set men free, just like feminism set women free from the expectations of society. James Maxwell, thank you for listening.